Hello. 7 signs that show you're experiencing spiritual awakening. The way I look at spiritual awakening, if you've been in my workshop Awakening Process, or if you read my book Awakening, is very different than most people talk about. Because I have a scientific background, and because I have done lots of researches on what's really happening when the thing that people call spiritual awakening is happening, because I've been doing a lot of research on what's happening in your chemistry, in your brain, in your physiology, on the times you think you're having a spiritual awakening, I can now tell you, I'm certain that what most people call spiritual awakening is not even spiritual awakening. It is just an experience your brain creates just because your body is in shock. Like in breathwork sessions, breathing techniques, meditation practices, when you connect with your body and when you connect with the stress that already exists in your body, when you connect deeply into that stress, or when your body is in deep shock, especially like in experiences people call near-death experiences, the brain creates an alternative experience. When your body is in shock, when your body is experiencing a trauma, when your body physiology and chemistry, especially the respiratory chemistry, because I'm a breath expert, I've been doing a lot of research on respiration and how respiration affects our body fluid pH, and our respiration is very important because it regulates our body fluid pH. So at the moments of stress, at the moments of shock, at the moments of trauma, when we're facing an event that is very meaningful, that we call bad, or that we call evil, or that we call horrible, what happens is our breathing habits get triggered and our breathing behavior kicks in. And with that breathing behavior, because of the change in our body fluid pH, because we go into respiratory alkalosis, everything in our body starts changing. Because our chemistry changes, and because there is vasoconstriction and there is not enough oxygen in the brain has to create the opposite of that shock. And that's what people experience as seeing angels and connecting with the universe, having an out-of-body experience, and all those near-death experiences. That's just some experience your brain creates. And people call it spiritual awakening. I am certain that that's not spiritual awakening, because spiritual awakening is an expansion of consciousness. And I've been interviewing all those people who experienced those experiences, and when I started talking about what was happening in their lives at the times they were having all those experiences, those were the times when those people were very stressed. They were either sick, they had health problems, relationship problems, money problems. The moment you're in stress, because of the change in your respiratory chemistry, because of the change in your physiology and hormonal and all levels, and the change in the brain goes into a shock and creates some alternative state, alternative experience, the opposite experience of that stress to keep you alive. And it has nothing to do with spiritual awakening. Awakening is an ongoing process. An awakening can happen only in the mind. It can only happen in the consciousness. Before I talk about the 7 signs of spiritual awakening, let's look at what the word spirit means. Spirit is life, being alive. So spirit is our consciousness, it's our being. When you look at human being, that being side, it's our self, it's who we are, it's full of life, it's full of energy, and it's the mind, it's the consciousness. So spiritual awakening happens in the mind, because the mind, the spirit, the breath, they're all the same. And for spiritual awakening to happen, you have to be connecting with the executive mind. That's why only when an individual keeps on meditating day after day after day, and when they are done with that polarized, stressful, shocking feelings and physiology and chemistry, they start experiencing awakening. So only when all of those visions and hallucinations and illusions and angelic and your illusion of connecting with the universe and talking with God and all those stuff end, and you are clear and you're in the executive mind, and I've been there. So I'm not talking as an individual, like, I haven't had all those experiences. That's the reason I tell you this. I have had all those experiences. I have seen angels and visions and God talking to me and this and that, all kinds of things. And now, because I did a lot of research on that, I'm certain that those were not spiritual awakenings. Real spiritual awakening started for me, not to say that I'm a spiritual awakened person, to say that I am now able to keep on expanding my consciousness and stay in the awakening process, because how I see awakening is it's a process. And to be there, you have to keep on working with your consciousness. And it's a consciousness state instead of a spiritual state, which people refer an emotional state. Emotions is just energy in motion, and none of the emotions are even real. So what people call spiritual is actually just some emotional experience. And spiritual awakening, there's no such thing as spiritual awakening. It's the consciousness that's getting awakening. It's the mindfulness. It's being mindful. It's being mindly awake. It's about being awake in the mind. How do I understand I'm living a real awakening, or how do I understand that I'm in the awakening process? The first sign of awakening, being in the awakening process, first sign of awakening in the consciousness is seeing truth, connecting with truth, having the ability to connect with truth. That is, not making meanings, not reasoning, not judging, not thinking anything else, but just seeing truth. Being clear about what is, seeing only what is, connecting with what is. The second sign, you live in the moment. There's no past, there's no present, there's no time. So you go beyond the time and universe illusion. In your consciousness, you connect with the moment, you connect with each and every behavior and everything to be said, everything to be done, everything to be created in the moment, in this moment. The third, as your consciousness expands, as your consciousness awakens, you start seeing life differently, and you start finding solutions to every problem, and you start feeling grateful to every problem. You start seeing problems, you start seeing the benefits of every problem, and you start being grateful to all the problems, all the traumas, everything you ever lived. Even if in your past you lived real big traumas, you start being able to see how they served you and how they supported you, and you start seeing that each and everything that ever happened in your life happened for a reason, and you start seeing the puzzle. And the fourth is you start seeing the universal order. First, you start seeing the universal order of your own life. You start seeing that each and everything you ever lived in your life brought you here, and there was a reason for all of them. Even the things you thought were traumatic, were bad, had benefits, and they helped you grow. They supported you, and because of those, you are this person. And it's kind of like the end of psychotherapy or all therapy, because people who are awake and who have an expanded consciousness don't need therapy, because when you look at the past, you only need therapy if you see some things that happened in the past as bad, as traumatic. If you look at your past, and no matter what happened, you see the benefits in everything, and you see that everything supported you, there's no need for therapy. So 5, you don't need support, you don't need therapy, you don't need approval, you don't need love of others, you don't need anything from the outside. That's the 5th sign of awakening. You don't have any need, and you're just okay the way you are. And because of that, 6th, you start expanding in your life. 6th sign is you start having more money, your wealth grows, you start having more health, and spirit means life, having life energy. And the moment you have more life energy, you have more health. So if a person calls herself or himself spiritual, and you don't see that life and health and shining being, if they have health problems, if they, in a way shrink in their lives, that's not spirituality. Real spirituality, real awakening is about expanding. So the 6th sign is expanding in all areas. Socially, you expand. Relationship, you expand. You have a special relationship, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. With your family, your relationship gets deeper and deeper and deeper. With your friends, your relationships go on a deeper level. Business, it grows, expands. Your self-development, who you are, how you view life, what you think about life, it all expands. And the seventh sign of awakening is the real feeling of gratitude and love. You start living your life by saying thank you and I love you to each and every moment, no matter what happens. You see the universal order. You are not making anything mean anything other than it is. You see what is, you connect with truth, you connect with the moment, you are in connection with the divine order. There is nothing good, nothing bad. Everything is a benefit and everything serves you, and you are the master of your own universe, and there's only love and gratitude. So you live your life with each and every moment saying thank you and I love you, and you expand in that and in all areas of your life, because you say with your whole heart thank you and I love you, and because you live a heartful life, everything starts changing and you have an extraordinary life. That's a 7+. When you combine all of them, that's an authentic person living an extraordinary life. And if you're ever interested in that kind of awakening, I'm here with my whole curriculum. In all the courses Nevsah Institute has, I'm teaching you how to expand your consciousness, how to expand your life, how to grow in all areas of your life, and how to live an extraordinary life. If you like my YouTube videos, please click on the like and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel.